G'day, I'm the Home Distiller, and today I'm going to show you how I roast my coffee beans and how I get some lovely fresh coffee, make my coffee, how I get my fresh beans for the cheap and much nicer than you can, well, unless you go to a really good roaster, you can generally make as good or better than you can buy in general, you know, the supermarket, etc. So let's get cracking. This is my coffee roasting monstrosity. Basically, I can't remember the guy who came. I think it's a KK roaster. The guy who came up with it was on a forum somewhere. I can't quite remember. So it's not my design. But basically, it's a pasta pot with a strainer kind of thing inside it, wrapped in a fire blanket with an agitator on the bottom and a turbo oven on top. As you can see, one of these, I've cut this center out so it was getting blocked up with the chaff from the coffee grind, so I just basically cut the hole out so the fan can kind of suck the chaff in and blow it out the sides. So that's basically the only modification to the coffee roaster that I've done, as well as I've actually disabled the thermostat on it so it just runs flat out all the time. But I do also need to put a switch on it so I can manually turn the element off at certain points during the roast. Like when you hit first crack, it's actually a bit exothermic, so the temperature can ramp up on its own some. Now inside I have a stirrer made out of a bit of sheet metal and actually a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, if it will focus on that, 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch adapter socket adapter, and then attached to the motor in here, that will come off. There's down in there, if you can see that, right there is a 1/4 inch extension that's attached to windscreen wiper motor, and this here is just I think that's just a bolt, that one, and this one's actually a thermostat. Got a thermometer probe poking up through here, and then just a bolt to help index the pot and keep it in the same location. I don't actually use the thermometer in it anymore. Just kind of eyeball it. Yes, so you get a much more precise roast and everything else, but you know, you get lazy as well. So that just, and also on the side of the pot, I've cut, if you can see them, I've cut right up the top slots, and they're kind of opened up. So and they follow the fan direction, so the opposite of the fan direction, so the chaff will kind of get sucked up and swirled around, and it catches in these holes and kind of gets ejected out the side into the cavity around the outside. Get that on there, and I've just got some silicone tubing just to kind of help seal it, and the fire blanket also is just to help insulate it. And underneath is just a cobbled together box with a windscreen wiper motor cobbled together with a bit of copper pipe and a couple of bloody Jubilee clips or pipe clamps around it with the thing in it, so it's just kind of a bit cobbled together, but it works quite well. And this is my also cobbled together cooler. So we have a box. I was hoping I'd get, the reason it's kind of octagonal shape, octagonal shape, is I was hoping to get a bit of air swirl in it to help cool it. It's also why the input is on an angle, and the suction, the vacuum, is on an angle, and the input is on an angle as well, but it didn't really work. So and this is just fly metal fly wire in the bottom, and this gets hooked onto my vacuum cleaner, and I really should just boggle this up, like seal this up rather than use duct tape because it's not working very well. That gets hooked onto my vacuum. You shut the lid. The aluminium chips would be good. You shut the lid, put your other vacuum hose in here, and you just suck the roasted coffee beans out of the bottom of the roaster. So let's get the roasting, shall we? Better put the arm in. This agitator isn't the best, so I don't really get a really good even roast, but it's good enough for me. There is guys out there who've made some quite good designs, and you can buy them, which have a spring and that kind of rides along the bottom and it helps to stir the beans over, but this works fairly well. So I plug me 12 volts in. You can see that in there. That goes roundy. Pop that on the top there. Plug that in. Turn the heat up. I might actually clean that so you guys can see there. Alright. So that's probably about as good a view as you're going to get. At the moment I'm just giving it a preheat because I'm going to do about a kilo. About a kilo of beans, which is about the maximum you can kind of do in this thing. So you want to preheat first if you're going to do that many beans. Turn the extraction fan on. Alright, so the sides of this are getting pretty darn warm now. There's my handy dandy Filur little camera. What are we at? 32. Yeah, alright, I think we're looking pretty good. To dump that in. Dump the beans in, pop the lid back on, and now we wait approximately 20 minutes. Alright, I've just played with the white balance, this is why everything's blue, because we're balanced for the beans. I might actually pull that exposure down just a hair. There we go. If I can get you any. Let's take that off as well. See if we can get you a bit closer. Okay, that looks pretty good. So we'll let that tick along till we're ready. Until it's ready. Now, part of the reason it's roasting so unevenly is there's actually two varieties of beans in there. So they've even though they've been kept in the same cupboard together, they may have slightly different moisture contents or densities or oil contents, etc, etc. So I think the lighter beans are the Peru Casa de Selva estate or something, can't remember. To be honest, I can't even remember what the other one was that I threw in there. Monsoon variety, some description from memory. you might be able to see some of the chaff disappearing into that little hole. Alright, we're just starting to hit the first crack. That popcorny noise. As you can hear there. So that's just, we're just at the first point where you could actually kind of eat, not eat, brew the beans. We want to go just a little bit longer depending on how dark you like your roast, but we're going to go a little bit longer than that. Basically once the first crack finishes. And again, this is when I'd like to have a switch so I can just turn the element off and leave the fan running, because this is the point where it starts getting a little bit exothermic. It'll actually start producing a bit of heat, so I'll just chop the top open a little bit. This is also the point that a lot of the chaff will start coming off the beans too. See, now we're at a nice light colour, and because these beans are two different varieties too, we might actually start going to another first crack shortly, with the second harder batch of beans. Might start, which I think we're just starting now. There's a bit of a break there. And here it's a different crack as well, it's not quite as loud. So we'll wait for this crack to kind of finish, and then we might be done. And there's a fair bit of smoke being produced now. So you want your like I have a window open here, and fan, like this is right in front of the window, and there's a fan kind of sucking all the smoke out. The door cracked a little bit, so I'm getting a nice cross breeze. So it doesn't actually, there's no smoke in the shed at all, it's all being sucked directly out. So I do actually normally have this pushed back up against the window a bit more. I get a little bit coming in a bit further in the room, but it's not, it's still getting sucked out. I think we're almost there. Yep. So that first crack, both first cracks in fact are done. And we'll get another minute or so. Let's just check see what we look like. That looks pretty good. So we'll quickly zoom you out, and excuse the white balance is going to be all screwed up. So I just reset your white balance a little bit. It was a bit dark for it to calibrate properly, but I've got to get these sucked out. So. Because we want to cool them off, not dry them off. Pretty much as quickly as possible. Now we're in our cooler. So this just sucks the air down through the whole beans and lets them cool off fairly quickly. Just got to watch the hose so it doesn't get too hot and get squished. And they actually lose about between 10 and 20% of their weight. I put a kilo in, so I'll probably get about 900 grams or so, or 800 grams of actual beans, but they also increase in volume quite a lot by about the same or more. It could even be twice, or yeah, 50% more. So I just want to cool them down to room temperature or so. That exposure up a bit, we'll see if you can see me a bit better. So that's just about cool now. And about room temperature. Go a little bit longer. You can also feel the output hose, and once it starts feeling cooler, like closer to room temperature, you're much closer. Yep, so I'd say that's about done. So that's how I roast beans. Now you want to actually, let's turn that noisy fella off. You want to actually leave this, ideally the beans, for about a week before you use them. Like you want to use beans as soon as you can once you've ground them. But you don't want to use them straight after the roast because they have a lot of off-gassing and that kind of stuff to do. Like when you buy a bag of coffee beans and there's that little valve on the top that a lot of people think it's so you can smell the beans. You can kind of give the bag a squeeze and smell in there. That valve's actually there so the bag doesn't explode. I've put beans straight off the roast into a vacuum sealed bag. And it ends up like a pillow after a week from all the off-gassing and everything else that it does. So like ideally you want to keep it kind of sealed, so a Ziploc bag or something good that keeps the oils and that kind of stuff in the bag so they don't really evaporate, but it lets things like, I think there's a lot of carbon dioxide and that kind of stuff that comes out of the beans after the roast that you want to let off. So that's how I roast my beans. We didn't get a really, see if we can get that in a nice shot there. not a really even roast, but even enough. There's a couple of lighter beans in there, but I'm happy with that. We've gone a medium light roast. So that's how I roast my beans. And before you ask where I buy my beans, this bag's faded, but I buy them from Coffee Snobs, coffeesnobs.com.au, and they come in these nice little Hessian bags that are good to measure out a roast into, and also good for just, you know, transporting the beans around a bit. Yeah, so that's how I roast my beans. And yeah, as I say, you really want to let those beans off gases. If you ever do try and roast them, you'll know that or if you've ever been near anyone roasting them, the smell from roasting beans is not overly pleasant. It's quite harsh, acrid. You know, it's not like a slight burning smell. It's not a chemical smell, not a real tarry. It's quite distinct in its smell, but it's not overly pleasant. So you want that to kind of off-gassing come off of it. That generally only takes 1 or 2 days to disappear, but then there's the other off-gassing and that kind of stuff. So it's anywhere from 5 to 15 days for some of the really hard beans. Because I'm lazy, I generally roast and start drinking it straight away, but that's the day after you can generally drink it, but it's not the best. But the flavour gets better and better, and I like to appreciate that change as it goes on. This is the same thing with the intro I used to use. That people used to always say, don't put ice in your whiskey. Or why not? If it's not a real whoop-de-doo fancy whiskey, put a block of ice in it, taste it, and then as the ice melts, the flavour changes and it opens up more, and you get the different flavours out of it. Same as a cigar. When you first start smoking a cigar, the flavour changes and changes as you get along into it. So it's up to you. But yeah, most people recommend, yeah, leave it at least a few days before you start drinking it. But I mean, I do a kilo at a time, so this is probably going to last me. You know, I only drink maybe a couple of espressos a day at home, so this will probably last me a month, maybe more. And also give a good thing with roasting your own is it's cheap. I mean, I think it's about $12 a kilo versus $40 a kilo, something like that, for roasted beans. So I give it away. I give presents of roasted beans to a lot of people. And the other good thing with roasting it, my house is going to smell like fresh coffee for about a week. I'll walk in from work, open the door, and that's what I'll smell, nice fresh coffee, even though I haven't brewed any. That's about it. I'm the Home Distiller. Give us a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. You're probably not here by now, so you would have clicked away earlier. So leave a comment if you want to see any more details on the coffee roaster, or any other projects. I love the comments. Thanks. I'm the Home Distiller. Stay beautiful.